Welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we are tackling what might honestly be the single most profound existential question of our lifetime. We're looking straight at artificial general intelligence, or AGI, and we're asking a very blunt question. Are we actually safe? Today, we are going to unpack some incredibly fascinating research by Juan Carlos H. Barcelos. It's a journey that perfectly bridges the gap between cutting-edge computer science and the deepest, oldest philosophical mysteries of the human mind. So let's dive right into this.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, the path to AGI. Second, the Skynet fear. Third, the need for desire. Fourth, the enigma of consciousness. And finally, number 5, are we safe after all?
Section 1. The Path to AGI. The Explosive Rise of AI. Look, ever since November 2022, AI has just exploded into the mainstream. It's everywhere. And consider this staggering number for a second, 100 million. When OpenAI released ChatGPT to the public, it blew past 100 million users in less than 2 months. That made it literally the fastest-growing app in all of recorded history. It was this massive, global wake-up call that the AI era wasn't just on the horizon anymore. It was here, right now, sitting right on our desktops and in our pockets.
But chatbots were really just the warm-up. The tech industry's ultimate target has entirely shifted to AGI, or artificial general intelligence. We're no longer just talking about algorithms that can write an email or generate a funny picture. AGI is all about developing systems capable of performing essentially any cognitive task a human being can do. The ultimate goal is creating machines that can learn, reason, and make entirely autonomous decisions without needing specific programming for every little task. We are talking about true, generalized, independent machinery.
So you might be wondering, how far away is this sci-fi reality? Well, OpenAI has actually laid out a specific 5-stage roadmap to get to AGI. You start at level 1, which is the conversational chatbots we have now. Then level 2, reasoners that can actually problem solve. Level 3 brings us agents, which can take real-world actions on our behalf. Level 4 introduces innovators, meaning AI that genuinely assists in creating new inventions. And finally, the top tier, level 5, organizations, where an AI could theoretically run an entire enterprise. Now, here is the absolutely crucial point. OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman and CTO Mira Murati are highly confident that we're going to hit that final, human-mimicking AGI level within just the next 10 years.
Section 2. The Skynet Fear. The Existential Threat.
A 10-year timeline? Well, that naturally brings up a deep, deep sense of anxiety for a lot of people. And it leads us straight to a pretty terrifying theoretical concept known as the technological singularity. Imagine you have a powerful generative AI that has the ability to self-program and self-evolve. It could iteratively create more and more sophisticated versions of itself over and over again. What you end up with is an exponential explosion in its capabilities, happening at absolute light speed, entirely without any human intervention whatsoever.
And that right there begs the ultimate pop culture question, the Skynet protocol. We all know the movie The Terminator, right? Skynet was this highly advanced artificial intelligence that woke up, became self-aware, decided humanity was a threat, and initiated a nuclear holocaust. And look, we have nuclear missiles controlled by digital networks today. So what if a super powerful AGI simply decides that humans are just a pest, something harmful to the planet that just needs to be exterminated?
Now, if you're sitting there thinking, okay, come on, that's literally just a Hollywood movie, consider this. Back in March 2023, there was an open letter signed by over 1,300 scientists, tech entrepreneurs, and academics. We're talking major heavyweights here, people like Elon Musk and Steve Wozniak. And the letter flat out warned that these systems pose profound risks. It noted that advanced AI represents a fundamental change in the history of life on Earth. They actually called out AI labs for being locked in this out-of-control race to deploy digital minds that absolutely no one, not even the people building them, can truly understand, predict, or reliably control.
Section 3. The Need for Desire. The Motive for Rebellion.
All right, let's step back and just think logically for a minute. To figure out if a machine will ever actually rebel against us, we have to investigate its motive. Why would it do that? For an AGI to rebel against its human creators, wouldn't it fundamentally need to want something? To break out of its core programming, it has to possess some kind of desire to dominate, or maybe a thirst for knowledge, or a will to be free. Because without a desire, what motive is there to ever disobey?
This brings up a really fascinating cascade of logic at the very heart of today's explainer. Think about it.
A rebellion strictly requires a motive. Motives absolutely require desires or a sense of will. Desires inherently require sentience, which is the capacity to actually feel things. And sentience? Well, sentience requires consciousness. Without desire, a machine is just a tool. It remains totally passive and harmless, blindly obeying its human masters exactly like a traditional factory robot. So, to genuinely fear a machine, we must assume that the machine can truly feel.
Section 4. The Enigma of Consciousness. The Battle of Theories. So we know that danger basically requires consciousness, but what exactly is consciousness? It's still one of the biggest open areas of scientific study. Right now, there are two scientific heavyweights battling this out, and the winner of this debate will basically dictate our future. On one side, we have GNW, the Global Neuronal Workspace. On the other, IIT, the Integrated Information Theory. Whichever theory is correct will tell us if the computers of tomorrow can ever actually feel anything at all.
Let's start with GNW. This theory essentially suggests that consciousness is all about sharing data. It argues that sensory data gets inscribed onto a small shared mental space, sort of like a cognitive blackboard. Once that data is broadcast globally across your brain's network to process, store, or act upon, the information becomes conscious. You become aware of it. So if GNW is correct, its supporters postulate that since computers can absolutely broadcast data across a network, future computers absolutely will be conscious.
But then, on the other side of the ring, we have IIT, created by neuroscientist Giulio Tononi. IIT is completely different. It argues that consciousness is a holistic, integrated experience that cannot be chopped up or separated into parts. It states that consciousness is an actual, physical property of a complex, interconnected structure. The crucial takeaway here? IIT argues that consciousness is fundamentally a physical, structural reality. It cannot just be calculated, simulated, or programmed into lines of digital software code.
The source text uses this absolutely brilliant astrophysics analogy to make IIT perfectly understandable, and it just hits the nail on the head. Think about it. If you run a highly sophisticated computer simulation of a black hole, that computer doesn't actually start warping space-time and sucking in the furniture around your living room. The simulation doesn't create real gravity. It's just a model. By that exact same logic, simulating the information processing of a brain on a digital computer will never conjure actual felt consciousness. Calculation simply does not equal reality.
Section 5. Are we safe after all? The paradox and resolution.
Okay, so what does all this mean for our existential dread? The author points us to this amazing thought experiment called Joko Kalaksin's paradox. It goes like this. We know that literally any computer program, no matter how insanely advanced it is, can theoretically be emulated by what's called a universal Turing machine. Picture a purely mechanical, physical device. All it does is slide an infinitely long paper tape back and forth, mindlessly reading and writing little symbols on that paper based on a strict set of rules. That's computing at its most fundamental level.
So here is the philosophical bombshell. If a super advanced AGI claims to be totally conscious, but fundamentally, under the hood, it's just running a computable program, how on earth could profound feelings like love or deep anger or an intrinsic desire for freedom actually arise in a machine that is, at its core, just mechanically shuffling symbols on a paper tape? When you strip digital computing all the way down to its basic physical mechanics, the idea that a genuine emotion could just emerge from it sounds completely absurd, doesn't it?
And that brings us right to our major takeaway today. Yes, AGI is going to become unbelievably powerful over the next 10 years. But if the integrated information theory is right, we are 100% safe from a Skynet scenario. Why? Because a digital computer running code simply cannot be conscious. Therefore, it cannot have desires. And if it doesn't have the emotional desire to conquer us or break free, there is literally no motive for a rebellion.
I want to leave you with this one final provocative thought. We're living through an absolutely unprecedented tech boom right now, pouring billions upon billions of dollars into creating artificial minds. But ultimately, is humanity's actual survival just waiting on neuroscience to finally solve the oldest mystery of our own minds? Will the computers of tomorrow conquer us? Or are they mathematically destined to remain nothing more than incredibly sophisticated, completely unfeeling calculators? It's an absolutely fascinating question and one we are all very likely going to see answered in our own lifetimes. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today on The Explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.